Fringe Radio, your trusted source for the paranormal, conspiracy theory, and true crime. Coming to you live from the Mistopheles Studios, it's Dark Fringe Radio.
I try to move, but my body won't work. I try to talk, but I lose all words. All that ever slips from my face are teeth and dreams I can't take. Waking from.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am your host, Will Martinez, and thank you for joining us on another edition of Dark Fringe Radio. I am your host, of course, again, Will Martinez, and can't do it without my co-host, Jay Galosi. Jay, what is going on, brother? How you doing?
Just living La Vida Coca. I mean, Boca. I mean.
Uh-oh.
Things are good, my guy.
Be careful. Yeah. You don't want to incriminate yourself.
Well, what's funny is that's not incriminating for me because I've never done it in my life and I have no intentions to. So I can talk all the shit I want to about that because I have nothing to do with it.
That is true. They can test you all they want, right?
All they want. All they're going to find is a lot of THC. A lot of THC.
And that's not illegal, my friends. Well, listen, thanks for joining us. I got a card. That's it. As long as you got that card, baby. Well, listen, thanks for joining us on another edition of Dark Fringe Radio, of course. We are, episode 132, Jay. Just racking right through them. It's unbelievable. Yeah. You can go to our website, darkfringeradio.com, and you can check out our stuff there. But Jay, social media, where they can find us, tell the people where they can find the knowledge,
Dave Junior, Jesus, were you foghorn leghorn? Oh my God!
I said boy. I said boy.
See, this is why I actually know somebody who does talk like that for real. His name
that's
is Bud.
horrible. Is it really talk like that?
100%. His name is Bud. A lot of people actually call him Yahweh back in the days when I shot a lot of pool. And the reason why they call him Yahweh is because Yahweh means God. You don't bet against God. You do not bet against this man. I'm gonna shoot that ball.
He's one of those guys, right?
Yeah, but it's unconscious. I mean, it's just whoop, like it's got eyeballs. It's incredible. He's a master. He's an artist.
Well, there you go. Big up to Yahweh.
Yeah, man. So on that side note. Let's get back to what we're talking about. We're talking about Dark Fringe. We're talking about our content. Where you can find our content is where William was trying to lead us to. You can find all of our content, all 130 episodes at darkfringeradio.com. You go straight to the source, get it right from the horse's mouth if you want. Or you can get it at Apple. You can get it Google Play. You can get it Stitcher. Anywhere you would get a podcast, you can hear us there. SoundCloud. Give us stars, give us ratings, give us feedback. We love getting into it with you. We love having some back and forth. We love when you guys support us and help us let us know how we can make our show better and how we can give you guys better content. We've got a lot of cool things coming in the future, and it's all found at darkfringeradio.com.
Absolutely. And thank you, Jay, so much for that. I really appreciate it. And go to the website. That's where it's all at. But tonight, we have a very special guest. His name is Mr. Ori Spado, and if you don't know the name, he's a very prolific individual. And I'll tell you, Jay, man, I had a hell of a conversation with this guy, and
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, it's actually exactly what I thought it would be. You know what I mean? Like even the interaction behind the scenes, like setting up the whole interview and stuff like that. Very, it was nothing. I'm not going to say anything wrong. Nothing at all. It was very, polite, concise, but it was very direct and to the point. There was no bullshit.
Hey, I like that.
No bullshit at all.
I like that. We know.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I like that.
And it was refreshing. It was refreshing because I was like, man, I could talk straight with this guy. Like, I don't have to, be all fluffy with him. You know what I mean? I could be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And he's like, absolutely, no problem. So, but nonetheless, Mr. Ori Spado, this individual, he grew up in New York, didn't have really a background in the mafia, Jay, but ended up getting into California and then being a fixer for a lot of the Hollywood elites. So a fixer. And we get into all that, and we actually talked about how he actually ended up doing time for a RICO charge for, ended up, catching a charge, being involved with another mafioso, and, we get into all that, and we get into his life after, getting out, wanting to help people, wanting to, spread a positive message, and tell people they don't have to live that life. Obviously, you know what I mean.
You don't gotta.
You don't have to. But the amazing part, Jay, is that throughout his whole, he didn't really get into the crime part until like later on in his life. But throughout his other, life earlier, he was very successful in just legitimate businesses. He was like a very successful insurance salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy was amazing.
Listen, those skills transfer.
Oh, amazingly does. Yeah.
Just, in unorthodox fashion. It's just like that movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Right? Yeah. He's in the classroom. The guy from Harvard is like trying to tell him how to run a business. He's like, what you got to do here is take a couple of those greenbacks. You get them over to the land surveyors. That way they kind of fast pass you through. You don't have to wait as long. And the guy's like, that's unethical. And it's like, unethical? That's business.
That's business.
Business.
But it's true. It's very true. And so, yeah, it's a really interesting conversation. I mean, this guy is very vocal about how he feels and how he feels about certain individuals. So we get into a lot of stuff here, Jay. But again, he wrote a book called The Accidental Gangster. You can check it out at theaccidentalgangster.com. That's his website. Go there, check it out, pick it up. I implore you guys to do that. I mean, it's just a really, really insightful look into a life of a guy who, went from a legitimate, businessman making a lot of money, Jay, and then kind of getting sucked in, accidentally, just like how the book says, by proxy, and then, ends up doing deals for very notorious people, and then also being a fixer in Hollywood. But again, guys, check it out, theaccidentalgangster.com. We're going to have that interview here in a second with Mr. Ori Spado. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back and enjoy some more Dark Fringe Radio. Good afternoon, Dark Fringe listeners. Today we have a very special guest, and his name is Mr. Ori Spado. Mr. Spado is known as the quote-unquote Hollywood fixer and is also the author of his book, The Accidental Gangster, where he chronicles his journey from a kid from New York to a highly successful businessman in Hollywood, to serving years in prison for a federal RICO charge. He talks about all this and much more. Today we delve into the interesting life of Mr. Ori Spado. Mr. Spado, welcome to Dark Fringe Radio. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Mr. Spado, born in Rome, New York, December 17th, 1944. Is that correct?
Long time ago. Yeah.
We almost share a birthday on the 18th of December. So I share the feeling of getting gypped on Christmas for your birthday and Christmas.
Oh, yeah? What day is yours?
The 18th. So I'm a day ahead of you.
No, you're a day behind me.
Or a day behind you, exactly, as they would say. Yeah, but listen, you grew up in New York. Tell me a little bit about your childhood, and maybe tell me about some of the role models that were around you at that time, if you could.
Well, growing up, my father was always my role model.
Mm-hmm.
Had a lot of respect for my father. Good man, worked hard, honest, and just wanted better for his children. I come up in the family. I had 2 brothers, 3 sisters.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in a duplex home next to my grandparents and my aunts and uncles. So when my mother cooked dinner, she cooked for 13 people every night.
Wow. Yeah.
I had a good childhood. I began things early in my life, stealing things, being in fights.
Mm-hmm.
All the normal things somebody like me goes through, I guess.
Right.
It was normal for me anyways, and I began hustling and making money. It's just like it's an everyday thing that I wake up. I got to make money. What am I going to do to make money today? And I've been doing that since I was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it's the same thing as what you do in the life.
Mm-hmm.
When I refer to the life, I'm talking about the close to nose.
Mm-hmm.
some guys make money, some don't. I made money.
Yeah, that's very important in that life, of course.
It's a hustle. You got to wake up every day. Who am I going to rob? What am I going to extort? What kind of deal am I going to put together? What am I going to do today? Every day you got to earn. Just my mentality.
Yeah, no, there's
and at 78 years old, I haven't changed.
Yeah, they say you can't teach old dogs new tricks, right? It's just the way it is at that point, right?
Well, you can teach new tricks. I was thinking about it today. Actually, this morning I thought about, God damn, I said, this freaking legitimate world. It takes so long for fucking money to come in.
It's true.
Back in the old day, I mean, where's the quick deals that I made on a daily basis? It's like they don't exist anymore. I mean, I'm sure they do. I mean, I can't do it. But
yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that, and I understand what you're saying too, because I was a product of the '70s, and I grew up from the '70s, '80s, to now, and I've seen a huge change in business and how business is conducted. But going back to you growing up and stuff like that, I know your father was not involved in anything, as far as like Cosa Nostra wasn't talked about, but I know there were some other family members that maybe were. Did you know anything about that when you were growing up? Did you have any idea of that life as you were growing up?
I knew because we always had the newspapers, so of course I always read. I've been a reader all my life, so I knew things. And there was one thing that I always remember when I was a child was the fact that my grandparents, who lived next door to us, they were against my father marrying my mother. And it's like I had two different sets of grandparents. The grandparents on my father's side, unfortunately, they passed away before I was born. I really seriously would have liked to know them. Their last name was originally Spado, Spada. And he came over from Calabria as a maid member. So I know that he was a maid guy in upstate New York, and I know a lot of the things that took place back then that I later learned in life, through older people, through my friend Russo, who told me things and things like that there. But, things, but for my father, my father told me a little. One night that he really told me was the night of my stag party before I got married. And, so I guess it was something that was embedded in me somehow. I guess, it's like I say, and I tell everybody, my life was my destiny. Laid out for me to live it.
That's right.
And I lived it the way that it was laid out.
Interesting.
I don't have any regrets, because regrets are negativities. But, I take full responsibility for everything I've done in my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And since my release from prison, I've been doing only good things, trying to help people out, trying to help make this world a better place. And I'm getting well known in that area and things like that there.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful thing that what you're doing now, because a lot of people in your position and at your age would just say, you know what, F it. I'm not even going to go down that route. You know what I mean? I've been down this road all my life. I'm just going to continue to do that and, keep the blinders on and not do anything else but, doing what I'm doing. But now you're changing things for the better and, doing things for positivity. And, going back, to your, childhood, you growing up and you're getting older. You ended up serving for the U.S. Army, and you were honorably discharged in 1966. So did you have any, cool experiences during that time when you were enlisted at that, those years?
Had a lot of cool experiences.
Mm-hmm. Give me one if you could.
Huh?
Give me one if you could.
Well, my life was threatened in a sugar cane field in Hawaii.
Mm.
And it's in my book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still here.
Wow.
So it's something people should read. I tried to take over some brothels in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And was an interesting experience. I made $74.50 a month when I was in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
I had an apartment in Waikiki that cost me $150 a month.
Okay.
Plus I had my drone, all the additional expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to figure out, how did I do that on $74.50 a month? Okay. I was hustling. I was well known in Waikiki. Really funny. And I would go through the international marketplace and everyone went, Mr. Oi, Mr. Oi. But it was a great time. I served our country proudly. I would do it again unequivocally. I feel it's something that every young man should do, especially in today's world, because, what's kept me alive to be able to be here to talk to you today are three very important words: loyalty, honor, and respect.
That seems to be
those are the words. Young men, they don't have that today. I don't know why. They're not taught it by their parents. But, I have the biggest buyers of my book happen to be women. Because my book is not about being a gangster. Because I've been very successful in legitimate business. I've had multi-million-dollar businesses in the insurance industry.
Yeah, tell us about that. I mean, that was a really interesting part about your past that I found really interesting because it kind of paralleled me in a little bit because I was in the mortgage industry for, I would say 10 years. I had a very successful time during that time before 2008, before the crash. And, I saw what you were doing and I found it to be miraculous. Just a guy that knew how to hustle to do something legitimate like what you were doing at that time. Tell me how that all worked, and then tell me how that kind of went south for you as well.
Well, the insurance business, and in my opinion, is one of the best businesses out there today. I began with the Prudential Insurance Company. I was a leading agent. Became a member of the $1 Million Roundtable. Work has never been a problem for me. I during the daytime, I was going in the department store, talking to the clerks, selling them insurance, and at night was knocking on doors, making appointments, and I was constantly working. And but the thing about this, you got to know about insurance. People say, "Oh, another insurance salesman." The thing is, we're doing good. We're helping people out. And we're helping them out for their future.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. People don't realize how much an insurance policy, could benefit them in so many different ways. Not only just to, have some type of security if something happens, but also to leverage that for other things, for other business, ventures as well. People are not aware of that.
Many things that, I can remember many years ago, an older gentleman, I saw he was a painting contractor. And I knocked on his door all the time. I'm like, come on, we got a new policy. You got to buy this. You need this retirement. You need this annuity. You need this. And I constantly sold him. And he called me up. He got my number. Many, many years later, here I am living in California. He said, I've been looking for you. I got to thank you. Because if it were not for you, I would never have been able to retire.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so,
Amazing.
when you hear stories like that, you've done a lot of good.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. Yeah. So tell me about that run that you had with the insurance, with Prudential, and how did that all go south? I mean, because to me that was a huge injustice that was done to you, where they basically took your livelihood away from you. Talk to me about that a little bit if you could.
Well, that wasn't with the Prudential.
Mm-hmm.
You know what destroys people? I wanted to move to California.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a transfer in with the Prudential Insurance Company. My manager's name was Sully Catadell. He was a real nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
He said, okay, I'll take it. And he had to put it, they got submitted into Boston, which was the headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm waiting. So what's that? Yeah, I haven't heard. I'll call. And I'm waiting. And one day I'm in my stockbroker's office, and the manager from John Hancock was there. And I'm telling him, I said, gee, I put a transfer in. I want to move to Los Angeles. He said, I get you a job there right now. I said, yeah, boom, he picked up the phone in the stockbroker's office, called the manager, and here in Los Angeles was on Beverly Drive over here, Beverly Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
And boom, I had a freaking job. I packed my car up and I moved to California, and boom, I began with a John Hancock. And what happened was I lost all my renewal with a Prudential. That was the risk that I was willing to take. And I lost them all. But needless to say, eventually I went back to New York because I was in real estate and other things too that we had going.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up, for a very short period of time, I needed to make money to feed my family and put a roof over our head. Mm-hmm. And I ran into a guy with a combined group of insurance companies, which was owned by W. Clement Stone. Mm-hmm. And they told me I could make $100 a day. Put it right in my pocket.
There you go.
And they sent me to school for 2 weeks in Boston. And one of the first books they had me read was Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. And when I read that book, I said, holy shit. This guy who wrote this book has put names to everything that I've been doing. I was actually doing the things that he was talking about. It's a great book, no question about it. And I stayed with that company until I became the top salesman. I got an award and met Mrs. Stone in New York at the New York Hilton. And then I quit and I began my own agency, the Ori Agency. And I became a pioneer in the automobile after sale industry. I'm one of the guys that when you walk into a dealership today, the demo guy demos the car to you and brings you back. He says, meet my business manager, finance manager, whatever. They got a lot of names. And now they sell you. And the first thing they want to do is finance the car because the dealer makes a lot of money on the financing. And then from the financing, they put the credit, life, and accident and health. And then we'll put the warranty, the extended warranty, the auto alarm, the rust proofing, the shielding, and you name it. It's only $2 a month, $4 a month more. Don't worry about it.
Right.
You know, You know, when you walk into it, how much you want to pay a month, William? How much can you afford? Give me a number.
That's right. That's right.
Give me a number.
Is that the Ori method?
Give me a number.
350.
You could afford 350. Good. All right. You said 350. You know what's in my head? 450.
And then that's when you start tacking things up.
And that's where I'm going to get you.
Right.
That's where I'm going to land with you.
Right. Yeah. I get it. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. So you went from that to that. I mean, you obviously are hugely successful in everything that you touch. I mean, it seems like in life. And where did that all go wrong? Where did that road kind of start going towards a different road, and you ended up going back to California and being the fixer?
Well, here's what happened. Name of my agency was the Ori Agency. And I developed a way, actually, but it was by accident. My cousin was in real estate, came to me one day. He says, "Cuz," he says, "review this contract for me, would you?" He says, "I'm thinking of signing up with this company." And the company happened to be Century 21. So I'm reviewing the contract, and then it dawned on me, holy shit, this is how I go national. So I took the Century 21 contract, developed it for the Ori Agency. You see, to sell insurance, you got to be licensed in every state. So how do I get licensed in every state? It's impossible for me to go to every state and take a fucking test.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not going to be the guy on the ground. I get agents who are licensed there. So I developed a thing of how I was able to bring the Ori Agency on a national level. I needed $12 million. And my friend Frank Russo asked me to go to Boston to meet Ralph Serpi. Now, at that time, they were filming the Brinks job. I met Ralph Serpi, I met Peter Falk, I met Jazz Mafia, who actually did. I met everybody. And I did explain it to Ralph, who was with Dino De Laurentiis. And they loved the idea. We all could have made a lot of money. Flew out here. I met with Dino De Laurentiis. That's how I became friends with him. His office at that time was here on Cannon Drive. And Dino was great for raising money. And I brought them to downtown LA Motors. I showed them how my program worked within the dealership. And I was on the verge of raising this $12 million. That would have happened, I would have been a multi-billionaire today.
Wow.
But I had an agent that I had a guy that I took from nothing, made him into something. He heard about the deal I had with the insurance company. And he tried to take my agency over. And it became a big legal thing of eventually I became indicted. And, of course, by that time, I already knew Sonny Franchise. I already met Meyer Lansky, Frank Costello, Russell Buffalo. I already knew these guys. I lost my insurance license as a result of it. And I almost went to prison.
Right.
And I ended up getting 5 years probation. I was allowed to move to California. And I always maintained a place in New York City. So I was going back and forth once a month. And I became involved and well known by the FBI. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting how that all unfolded, and of course, it's always usually jealousy or envy from someone on the inside circle that usually ruins everything. But from our experience, at least. But nonetheless, you end up going to California, changing your life, and now you become the fixer for the Hollywood elite, the A-listers. obviously without giving any names or anything like that. I'm not here to do that to anyone, but could you give me some examples of some of the things that you were asked to maybe fix or maybe help, work out, as they say?
Yeah, a lot of problems, like anything else. Hollywood has their problems.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about movie budgets, you're talking big dollars. And when things have a tendency to go over budget,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times it's because the actor thinks he knows more than the director. That's how I began. Dino was having a big problem on one of his films. I said, I'll handle it. And I handle it nice, quietly, peacefully,
Mm-hmm.
and the word spread.
Mm.
And, I would get calls from the studios, agents, lawyers, and I handled multitude of problems from, even bringing some actors to, AA meetings and things like that. Get them on the straight and narrow, get them off the drugs, at least until they finish the goddamn movie.
Yeah, let them at least finish the movie then, and after that, whatever they do, right? Exactly. Yeah, I hear you. Ori, I mean, this is just unbelievable. I mean, you've from just that last 20 minutes of just talking about what your life is consisted of. And of course, you can go to theaccidentalgangster.com to pick up the book, or amazon.com, pick up The Accidental Gangster. You can always do that there. But, going back to your story here, so now you're helping out the Hollywood elite. You're rubbing shoulders and, shoulder with, these people in Hollywood, completely different lifestyle. I'm sure to, what you were dealing with before. Can you tell me what was it like, dealing with some of these people? Was it like you start to see these people in a more of a human type of way? Because, when we see movie stars and we see actors and directors, we have this certain, thing about what we think they are or who they are. But now you start to see the more human side of them, and some of their faults and some of their defects. How did that change your perception of Hollywood, if any?
Well, I treat everybody equally. I just had this talk with my grandson last week.
Mm.
You got to be able to talk to the president of the company with the respect and that he deserves, and also speak to the janitor who mops the floors, and give him the same respect. You always should be able to put yourself in another man's shoes. There's a lot to be said in those very few words. But if you do that and you know how to do it, you know what they're thinking about, how they're thinking, you know what their thought patterns are, you learn an awful lot. And I learned all these techniques were things that I use as a salesperson. So they just came naturally to me as a negotiator in fixing problems.
Right.
Because I never resolved the problem with a gun. Yeah, maybe one time in New York, I think.
Well, we won't talk about that. That's all good.
But that wasn't a Hollywood thing,
Right.
You got to sit down and you got to make both parties happy. We currently have a strike, and this strike is not going to end from all predictions to January, February. And yesterday I heard maybe even March.
March, yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
And it's a devastating effect here in Los Angeles. And I was talking to a couple of senior guild members. I said, I can handle this problem. And they submitted my name. But the biggest problem you have in Hollywood, and you got to bring people down to their level, is the ego.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay? And no, oh no, we'll handle it. We don't need Ori. No, you need me more than ever now.
Right. This
Okay?
keeps going on going. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You know, I don't understand why they don't realize certain things. And you alluded to it. You said it's the ego. It's the problem with the ego. You know, and it's amazing that when you meet some of these people, how inflated their ego is, and you know, how it can be a detriment to them and what they're doing. You've mentioned some names earlier, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion. You mentioned Sonny Franchise. How is it? You know, knowing that person, and how was he to you? And I know things kind of ended a little bit, you know, bitterly, I think. But tell me about your
They
relationship
didn't
with
end
Sonny.
bitterly with Sonny.
Oh, no, it didn't? Okay. Forgive me then.
No.
Okay.
Well, where would you get that from?
I thought that he had actually put a hit out at you at one point. So forgive me if I said that incorrectly.
Look at that's normal. All right.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me to get upset over that, I'm still here, ain't I?
That's true. You're right about
All
that.
right.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You know, and the only words that Sonny and I had as a result,
Hmm.
because I discovered that there when I was listening to my discovery while being locked up in Brooklyn.
Gotcha.
And when we got ready for trial, Sonny was out on bail. I wasn't.
Mm.
And he came in that day and he's taking his jacket. Hey, buddy, he's right across from me at the table where all his co-defendants were.
Mhm.
Hey, buddy, I hear you're upset with me. Look up. I said, buddy, I'm not upset with you. Why would I be upset? I said, what I'm upset with, I said, you would call me up for any problem, and I would fly into New York.
Mhm.
I said, when you heard this, you didn't ask me to fly in. If you would have, we wouldn't be sitting here today because we would know the Furtado was a rat.
Mm. Right.
And I said, but otherwise, I said, no, buddy, it is. It is what it is.
Mhm.
Still love you.
There you
No,
go.
Sonny and I, we were speaking right up until a couple of days before he passed away.
Oh, wow.
No, so we were friends right to his death.
Gotcha. So let's talk about some of these other characters that, you know, you dealt with, you know, that are in that type of life. Do you think there's a parallel between the egos of, you know, some of the Hollywood elite when it comes to some of these people that are involved in the Costa Nostra and maybe, you know, the things they're involved in? Maybe there's an ego thing that, you know, is parallel between the both?
Well, look, you know, in Hollywood, in the gangster world, the egos, Sonny didn't have an ego. Sonny was who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to respect that. You knew who he was. He knew who he was. I knew who I was. And he knew who I was.
That's right.
You know, and you got to remember, another guy who was his equal out here in Los Angeles was Jimmy Cacci.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody knows Jimmy Cacci.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But Jimmy Cacci was the underboss of Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy and I did an awful lot of things out here. He was the only guy on the West Coast that I was really connected to.
Yeah,
The
Jimmy
other
Cacci.
guy, no.
Yeah, interesting. All right, well, let's get into, of course, you know, you having this, you know, very good, you know, reputation in Hollywood, in California, you know, being the fixer. Where did that go wrong as well? Where did that go south, and how did you end up in prison after all that?
That didn't go south. Hollywood being a Hollywood fixer.
Okay, okay.
I'm still a Hollywood fixer. I'm still a fixer for anything.
Okay.
People still come to me.
Mm.
The problem is people don't have money today to pay me because you gotta remember I got paid handsomely for the work that I did.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, what brought me to the point that I got arrested?
Yes.
Let me read you a blurb from the back of my book.
Okay.
All right. You all heard of Nick Pileggi?
Yes, I have.
All right. Nick Pileggi wrote Casino, Goodfellas,
Mm-hmm.
a new movie coming out next March with De Niro playing Frank Costello, who I knew.
Mm.
All right. And he's also playing Vito Genovese. He's playing two roles.
Oh,
And
wow.
this movie is called Alto Place. Nick wrote, for nearly 40 years, Orlando Ori Spado was a friend and associate of John Sonny Franchise, underboss of the Colombo organized crime family. His relationship with Sonny brought him to the attention of the FBI and eventually led to his being indicted with Sonny on federal RICO charges and imprisoned. And the accidental gangster Ori provides the detail of this time in his life and his long battle with the FBI, whose overwhelming resources made it a fight that was impossible to win. Nick Pileggi, author and screenwriter, Casino Goodfellas.
Hmm.
Okay,
Wow.
I'll read you another one. This is from John Connolly. And John Connolly was a true crime author. He wrote the book Filthy Rich. He's the guy who really investigated Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the book Filthy Rich was about.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando Spado had been a thorn in the side of Los Angeles field office of the FBI for almost 2 decades before they finally took him down. Accidentally or not, Ori was a quintessential mob character, complete with a pinky ring and a slow, steady, deliberate voice, whether speaking with friends or foes. But like so many other good fellows, he was set up by a friend's son. You will have to read about it in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So those are two of the blurbs on the back of my book, The Accidental Gangster.
Mm-hmm.
Along with pictures of people that I knew along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Amazing, Ori.
what could I say?
I mean, well, yeah. What else can you say at that point? Yeah, I get it.
I sometimes I ask myself, freak, did I do everything that I've done in my life? I sat here with George Gallo, who is writing and directing the movie that's going to be made off of my book.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him, I said, George, as a screenwriter and a viewer, I know it's not going to be identical to the book because no movie ever comes out just like the book. You can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, George, whatever you dream of, whatever you could think of that you want to put in that script, chances are I did it. So don't worry. I said, you got free reign.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Amazing. You know, Ori, your book, The Accidental Gangster, of course, you can find it at accidentalgangster.com and, of course, amazon.com. You touch on the glamorous and gritty aspects of Hollywood. What do you hope that the readers, take away from your story?
What would I hope the readers take away from the story?
Yes, sir.
I would love for them to take away the successes in business, how to overcome fear, how to be respectful, loyal, and honored. Okay, I have mentored a lot of young men for staying out of a life of crime. Those are the kind of things that make me happy in today's world. But those, there's so much to be able to learn from my book. My book is about me. I don't write about others. Yeah, I mention other names, but the book's about me. And if you notice, you read my book, I don't have anything bad to say about anybody. Nothing bad. So it's not one of those books. It's 400 some odd pages. And I gotta admit, it's a really damn good book. Once you begin it, and it's what everybody tells me, once they begin, they can't put it down.
There you go.
So when I wrote this book, I wanted number one, be truthful.
Mhm.
And I wanted my voice to come off the pages so people could hear my voice, and they tell me that I accomplished that. So I did something right there.
Yeah, no, you did. I mean, you've definitely you've definitely are reflective of being able to be successful in anything that you do in life, which I highly respect. That's something that I've always respected, even since I was a kid. You know, being around certain individuals in my life too, and you know, being successful, seeing them being successful in different aspects of their life, I find that very you know, just something to look up to and, you know, appreciate as well. But, and again, like you said, a lot of people nowadays, you know, the younger generation, they don't understand that. And, you know, I would hope that people would understand that more. One thing I wanted to ask before I let you go, Ori, is, you know, you were indicted on this RICO charge. I mean, just recently, yesterday, there was a bunch of individuals that turned themselves in because of a RICO charge. What's your opinion about that? I'm you know, from somebody who's faced that before. What do you say to something like that? What's your opinion?
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, follow me on TikTok
Mm-hmm.
because I put my true feeling. This has got me highly pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
We are in a country now. It's a two-tiered system. Our lawmakers make the laws for you, for me, and the rest of the country, but not for them.
Mm-hmm.
Here we got Rudy Giuliani.
I was just about to ask you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
It's unconstitutional.
Right.
Unconstitutional. Yeah, asshole. And what about those thousands of guys you put away?
Mm-hmm.
All right. It was unconstitutional then. The RICO Act is illegal and unconstitutional. But even the guy who wrote it said it's almost impossible to be able to overturn. Okay. Richard Nixon signed it into law in 1970.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was never used until Giuliani read the book that Joe Bonanno wrote,
Mm-hmm.
who laid the blueprint out of how La Cosa Nostra worked.
Right.
And all he had to do was fill it in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was okay for him to use it, but now it's no good for him.
Right.
Okay? This is
Right.
wrong. And then where the freak do you come off to give people, oh, you got 2 weeks to turn yourself in? Oh, yeah, sit down with us. We'll negotiate your bail. What the fuck?
Yeah.
No.
30 years ago, would that have happened?
6 a.m.
Never.
in the morning.
Right.
Okay? I got no bail hearing till I got arraigned.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be arraigned first. You're arrested. You're put in jail.
Mm-hmm.
They want to talk about how they got their mugshot taken and how dirty it is.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. Welcome to the real world, folks.
Yep.
Yeah. It's no good for you, but it's good for us.
Yeah.
So,
People don't.
I recommend anybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right. To get your lawyers, if you've had criminal records, start doing something about what they're doing here.
That's
okay?
right. Yeah.
Because they don't want any laws, but the laws are for us. That's got to stop.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Agreed.
my feeling. You asked me, I told you.
Thank you, sir. No. I appreciate it. No, it's an interesting subject because, you know, you obviously were a victim of that. And it's true. Giuliani put a lot of people, you know, he made them, you know, he arrested a bunch of people without even having any, you know, evidence and stuff like that, just throwing the RICO charge out there. And he ruined a lot of people's lives, and people don't realize that. And now, as they say, that, you know, the chickens come home to roost, as they say, right?
Yeah. And Donald Trump, oh, it's a badge of honor. A badge of honor. Yeah, he's shitting his pants.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because, trust me, all right, he's got 4 indictments.
Yes. Yeah,
he
not
is
just one.
a former president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to put him in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Never. I'd be surprised if that ever happened.
Yeah.
Does he deserve it? Yes, he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
These crimes are much worse than most of the crimes that we had on my indictment.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Much worse. These are crimes against our country.
Right.
We didn't do crimes against our country.
Mm-hmm. No, Amazing.
Big
Mr.
difference.
Spade. Mr. Spado, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. You've been a tremendous guest. Again, everybody can pick up the book at theaccidentalgangster.com or amazon.com. Make sure you go ahead and do that. Support Mr. Spado and support what he's doing. Mr. Spado, before we let you go, what's next on the horizon for you? I think you have maybe another book coming out in the near future. Is that correct?
We're working with a literary agent to see how much they want to pay me.
There you go.
That's a good possibility. I'm working on stories with Ori. It's going to be a talk show. Basically, it's going to be conversations. I'll be bringing in. We're going to be talking how the Costa Nostra really works, things of that nature, how Hollywood really works, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Just sitting down, having conversations, and we're beginning that next month.
That's wonderful. I think that's a great idea and looking forward to that. And Mr. Spado, thank you again for joining us on Dark Fringe Radio. Again, please pick up his book, The Accidental Gangster, at theaccidentalgangster.com or amazon.com. Mr. Spado, thank you so much. I can't say enough. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, my friend. Take care now.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Take care. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Mr. Ori Spado. Again, if you can, check out his website, theaccidentalgangster.com, and go ahead and pick up his book. I mean, very interesting insight into the world of the Cosa Nostra, the legitimate world of business, and also being a fixer for the Hollywood
Mafia life.
Yeah, the mafia life. And you know what? This guy, I tell you what, totally legit. Legit. Let me tell you.
I believe you.
100%.
I believe you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe you. I believe you. I've been around some Sicilians. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It was an interesting conversation, as you guys saw. So, again, check out his book, accidentalgangster.com. Check out his book. Pick it up. Ori Spado. Wonderful guest. Jay, again, where can everybody find the our stuff here at Dark Fringe Radio before we say goodnight?
You can find all of our stuff, all of our content. You can find 130 episodes. You can find stuff on AI. You can find stuff on the occult. You can find stuff on paranormal. You can find us going out and being in the world. It's all at darkfringeradio.com, including this fantastic interview with this fantastic guest. We thank him so much for coming on tonight and being such a straight shooter.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jay, for that. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's funny, Jay, we've been doing this for 6 years now. This is, we're coming up on our anniversary. Next week will be our anniversary for 6 years. Unbelievable. It's really crazy thinking how much time has passed since we started doing this. It's amazing. And it's funny. A lot of some of the topics that we've covered, over the years, they're starting to come back again.
And are very interesting as they come back.
Yeah, and it's funny. Yeah, when they come back, you're like, "Oh, they're talking about direct energy rebels." I was like, "Yeah, we covered that like episode 45."
Covered that.
Yeah, like 4 years ago.
Skynet, AI taking over. Yeah, that was episode 4.
Yeah, we covered that. But no, it's good shit though, and that's why every week on Facebook and other social media, we try to like remind everybody. We'll find a reel, and we'll remind people that hey, we did an episode on this and to check it out as well. So make sure you do that. Jay, thanks so much for joining me on another edition of Dark Fringe Radio. And of course, you guys, thank you for supporting us. Continue to support us. We love you. We thank you. And we'll see you again next week.